Hello everyone, welcome to Toppscholars, the smart learning app. Today in this lecture, we are going to discuss some of the important questions and their solutions from the chapter The Human Eye and the Colourful World from the 10th standard CBSE board. So if you are preparing for the board examinations of 10th standard CBSE board, then this lecture is particularly very important. As you know that this chapter is quite important and carries large number of marks. Okay, so let's look at some questions which may be asked in your exams. Okay, so let's get into this and let's study some of the questions. First question here is, describe the role played by the iris in the human eye. Okay, so this is very simple, isn't it? The iris is a dark colored diaphragm that controls the size of the pupil, isn't it? So basically this is the main role of the iris. Moving on to the next question. Explain what is meant by the power of accommodation, right? So every eye, whether it is of human being or any animal, every eye has got some power of accommodation. Okay, so what does this mean? So here it is. The eye lens's power of accommodation is its ability to change its focal length so that it can clearly focus on both close and far objects on the retina. Okay, so this is what we mean by the power of accommodation. That means how much it can accommodate. That means how far it can see and how close it can see. Okay, so this is what do we mean by power of accommodation. Okay, the power of accommodation of the eye is limited. It implies that the focal length of the eye lens cannot be reduced beyond certain minimum limit. That means we can see up to certain limit properly, but beyond that particular limit we are not able to see clearly or properly, because if the object is quite close to our eyes, then we have to strain our eyes, and it takes some efforts to see that object clearly. Okay, so this is what power of accommodation is. Okay, moving on to the next question. List two causes of hypermetropia. Here it is. First, shortening of the eyeball. This is one of the reasons. Then excessive lengthening of focal length of the crystalline lens. So this is the second reason or second cause through which hypermetropia can be caused. Okay, moving on to the next question now. Here it is. If a person is suffering from both myopia and hypermetropia, what kind of lenses can correct this defect? How are these lenses prepared? Okay, if a person is suffering from both myopia and hypermetropia, then first thing is bifocal lenses can correct this defect. So here we have to use bifocal lenses. The preparation of these lenses by combining the two lenses in the spectacles so that the concave lens on top corrects myopia and the convex lens on the bottom corrects hypermetropia. Okay, so this is how it is prepared. Moving on to the next question, question number 5. Determine the focal lengths of the lenses needed to rectify the near and distant vision issues of an individual who requires a +4 diopter lens for near vision and a -4 diopter lens for distant vision. Okay, so let's look at the solution for this. So here basically the case is very simple, that there is an individual who requires +4 diopter lens for near vision and -4 diopter lens for the distant vision. So we have to find out what are the focal lengths which are associated. So it is very simple. So first of all, the power to correct his near vision, okay, that is 4 diopter +4, and as we know power is 1 upon focal length, right? So the focal length of the convex lens needed here is, here it is 1 upon P. So P is 4. So 1 upon 4 is 0.25 meters, and that means it's a plus 25 centimeter focal length. And next is the power to correct his distant vision. Okay. So P is equal to minus 4D. Okay. And therefore the focal length of concave lens. Here, since it's negative, that's why it is a concave lens. And since here it is positive, that's why it is a convex lens. So again, what we can do is we can put the values. Power is 4, 1 upon 4 is 0.25. Since it is minus, so it is minus here, and it is minus 25 centimeters. So this is the correct answer to this question. Moving on to the next. Define myopia and illustrate using a clear diagram the corrective method involving a suitable lens for this vision impairment. Okay. So first of all, we have to define what is myopia and how we can rectify this problem that we have to show here. So basically, myopia is commonly known as nearsightedness, and it is a visual condition where an individual can perceive nearby objects with clarity, but experiences difficulty in discerning distant objects. That means here in case of myopia, the person cannot see distant object, he can only see the nearby objects. Okay. The correction for myopia involves the utilization of concave lens with a suitable focal length. Okay. So let's look at this. First of all, here we can see the far point of a myopic eye. As we can see here, the far point theoretically should be infinity. That means an object which is at infinite distance, very large distance, should be seen, or the person should be able to see that object. Okay, that means the rays which are parallel, okay, they must fall on this retina. But here we can see that the far point has shifted towards the eye. That means it has come closer. So that's why this person is not able to see the distant object. So here we can see the myopic eye. What is happening here? The rays coming from a very far object, they are not able to focus on this retina. They are focusing somewhere here nearby. We can see in front of the retina. So now this will definitely cause some problems in the vision. This person will not be able to see the clear image. Now, what we can do to correct this? So here, these rays which are focusing here, if we are somehow able to make them focus here, then this problem would be solved. So that means we have to diverge the rays. So for diverging, we require a diverging lens, which is nothing but a concave lens. So here we can see the correction for myopia, where we have put a concave lens in between the path, isn't it? So by using a concave lens, now we can see the far point has again shifted to infinity. That means now this person will be able to focus at objects which are very, very far from him. So in this way, this kind of a problem can be solved. Moving on to the next question now. When a person suffers from both myopia and hypermetropia defects, what is this condition called? So it is very, very simple. As we know, this is called as presbyopia. Okay. So this is a simple answer to this question. Okay. Myopia and hypermetropia. Okay. This is combinedly called as presbyopia. Moving on to the next question. Using a labeled ray diagram, show the path taken by a narrow beam of monochromatic light as it passes through a glass prism. Okay. So here it is a narrow beam of monochromatic light and it is passing through a prism. So here it is. This is the incident monochromatic light. We can call it a PO or PE. Here is the normal. Here is the angle of incidence I. This is the original path, as we can see. EH can be called as the original path. This is just the direction. Okay, this is the original light. Now, after passing through this prism, here you can see the path has been deviated a little bit due to the phenomenon of refraction. Then again here when it comes, this is the normal, and as we can see, since the light is passing from denser to rarer, it will bend away from the normal, so it is going to go in that direction. So this RS is the emerging ray. So here PO is the incident ray, EF is the refracted ray, and FS or FRS, this is the emerging ray. Here I is the angle of incidence, R is the angle of refraction, and E is the angle of emergence. And you can see this is the original path and this is the final path or emerging path. So the angle between these two is nothing but the angle of deviation. This is called as angle of deviation. And here this angle is called as angle of prism. Okay. So basically this is the diagram which is showing the path of the monochromatic light passing through a glass prism. Moving on to the next question now. Explain the concepts of an early sunrise and a late sunset. Provide an illustrated diagram with labels to clarify these phenomena. So it is very simple. We observe the sun approximately 2 minutes before the official sunrise and about 2 minutes after the official sunset due to atmospheric refraction. Okay. The term actual sunrise refers to the precise moment when the sun crosses the horizon. The diagram illustrates both the real and apparent positions of the sun in relation to the horizon. Okay. The time gap between the genuine sunset and the apparent sunset is roughly 2 minutes. Okay. Additionally, the apparent flattening of the sun's disk during sunrise and sunset is a result of the same atmospheric refraction phenomenon. So basically what happens in this case is, during the sunrise, let's say, when the sun is just near the horizon, now the rays of light coming from the sun, they have to travel a longer distance through the atmosphere. So what happens here is, when it passes through the atmosphere, definitely it refracts. That means it changes its path a little bit. Okay. And due to this, the apparent position of the sun appears to be just above the original position. And this is why the sun seems to rise 2 minutes earlier than its actual or official timing. Okay. So this is how it looks like. Okay. Here we can see the sun when it is just at the horizon. Okay. When the rays of light are passing, as we can see, after crossing, okay, they are refracted like this. So for the person, this sun would appear to be in this direction, isn't it? So therefore the person will see the sun in this direction. That means the sun which has not yet risen, okay, for the person on the earth on the horizon, he will be able to see the sunrise 2 minutes earlier. The same thing happens during the sunset also. When the sun is near the horizon, even when it has set, still you will be able to see the sun for 2 minutes, okay, because of this particular phenomenon only. Okay. So this is the concept of early sunrise and late sunset. Moving on to the next question now. Describe the method to use two identical glass prisms in such a way that a narrow beam of white light incident on the first prism emerges out of the second prism as a white light. Provide a labeled ray diagram to illustrate the process. So let's look at this. First of all, when two identical prisms are arranged such that one is inverted relative to the other and a narrow beam of white light is directed at one prism, the light that exits the second prism appears as white light. Okay. So we'll see this with the help of a diagram. The deflection angles of the two prisms are equal and opposite. The initial prism separates the light into 7 colors due to varying deflection angles, but the second prism combines this spectrum along a single ray. Okay. Subsequently, the colors recombine to produce white light as the emergent outcome. Now let's look at this through the diagram. Here is one prism. You can see when the white light passes, it will disperse. That means it will spread out into 7 colors. Here we can see it spreads out. But if we keep another prism inverted, then this prism will again combine all these colors into white light. So here you will not be able to see the 7 colors again. Okay. So this is the ray diagram. Moving on to the next question now. State the function of each of the following parts of a human eye. First is cornea, then we have iris, and then pupil. Let's look at this. First of all, what is cornea? So here we can see in the diagram also there is a cornea over here. Okay. It is a transparent bulge on the front surface of the eyeball which refracts most of the light rays entering the eye. So most of the refraction happens here itself at the cornea. Second, iris. To control the size of the pupil. So here we can see this is the iris and here is the pupil. So to control the size of the pupil, this iris, okay, works. Then we have pupil. It controls the amount of light entering into the eye. So the light enters through this pupil itself. Okay. So these are the functions of different parts of the eye. So let's look at the next question now. Draw a label diagram to show reddish appearance of the sun at sunrise or sunset. So here is the diagram. So here is the earth. It's a earth surface. As we can see here, this is the sun which is near horizon, and here when the sun is nearly overhead. So now what happens is when it is overhead, it has to travel a very short distance. That means the sun rays have to travel a very short distance through the atmosphere. This layer you see is the layer of atmosphere and the sun rays are traveling a short distance. And here we can see that the sun rays are traveling a large distance through the atmosphere when the sun is near horizon. So definitely when the sun is near horizon, then when the light passes through the atmosphere, most of the blue light having a short wavelength, okay, it will be scattered. So here the blue color is scattered and the red color having a longer wavelength, it does not scatter, and that's why you see only reddish or orange appearance during the sunset or sunrise. Okay, but when the sun is here, then the sun appears quite white to us, but the surrounding area, it appears bluish to us because most of the blue color having a short wavelength, it scatters in all directions. That's why the skies appear to be bluish, okay, during the daytime. And during the sunset or sunrise, the sun and the nearby sky, it appears to be reddish. Okay, so this is what happens, and it all happens because of the scattering of light. Moving on to the next question now. Draw a labeled diagram to explain the formation of a rainbow in the sky. Okay, so let's look at the answer. First of all, rainbow is a naturally occurring spectrum that results from sunlight being dispersed by minute water vapor particles in the atmosphere. So basically what happens is during, let's say, rainy season, generally what happens is there are many small, very tiny water droplets suspended in the air. So what happens is when the sunlight passes through those small water droplets, it gets dispersed into 7 colors, and that's why we get to see the spectrum, a colorful spectrum, which we call as a rainbow. Okay, so let's look at the diagram. So here is the sun and this is the white light which is entering the water droplet, as we can see here. Okay, and after passing through this water droplet, it just disperses into 7 colors, and again here there will be some reflection, and after reflection it comes back here, and therefore we get to see 7 colors, that is red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo and violet. and this is how basically a rainbow is formed. Okay, so this is the simple process of formation of rainbow. Let's look at the next question now. What does the term dispersion of white light refer to? What causes it? Draw a ray diagram to show the dispersion of white light by a glass prism. Okay, so first let's understand what is dispersion of light. Okay, so dispersion of white light is the splitting of white light into its 7 component colors as a result of refraction. Cause of dispersion. So when a beam of white light enters a prism, it gets refracted and splits into 7 constituent colors. So basically, not only prism but any refractive material, whenever white light passes through that particular material, it spreads up into 7 colors or whatever number of wavelengths are present in that particular source of light. Okay, so if there are 2 wavelengths, then it will be spread up into 2 wavelengths or 2 colors. But if there are 7 colors, then it will be spread up or split into 7 colors. Okay, so any medium which is refractive in nature, it will always cause dispersion, and this is a result of the wavelength of light. Okay, so since the wavelength of each color is different, the every color deviates by different angle. Okay, so that's why the dispersion takes place. The splitting of the light ray occurs due to the different bending angle for each color. This different bending angle is a result of different wavelengths. Okay, each color ray, when passing through the prism, bends at different angles with respect to the incident beam, thus giving rise to a spectrum. Okay, so since every color bends by different angle, that's why we get to see a colorful spectrum. Okay, so basically this is how it looks like. White light, when it passes through the prism, it first disperses into 7 colors, then again when it comes out, it disperses even more, or we can say it spreads up even more and giving us 7 colors. Okay, so this is basically what happens in case of a prism. Okay, so in this lecture we have seen multiple questions, isn't it? We have seen many questions and we have solved many questions from the chapter Human Eye and the Colorful World. Okay, so I hope everything and all the questions that we have seen today is very much clear and very well understood. Thank you so much for watching and all the very best for your upcoming examination. Thank you so much.